why men lose interest in a relationship. At the beginning, for the first 6 months, he is so into you, he's planning everything, he's showing up. And then after 3, 4 months, it's kind of starts going down. And then the moment hits, and you like, oh my God, he's not interested. So let's unpack this mystery, which is not so much of a mystery, it's simply the way psychology works. So if you experience this in a relationship, one of the most likely reasons for that to happen is you overfed him with you. Because women have a pattern. She lives her great life on her own. You're happy, you're glowing, you're shining, you have a busy schedule, you have your creative projects, you have hobbies, you have girlfriends, and then boom, you meet a man, you cancel all of that. You're not available for your girlfriends, you don't go to your hobbies, and you spend all the time with your men. Nothing wrong with that because closeness and intimacy, this is our feminine need. This is what women need in a relationship. You're never going to be happy in a relationship if you don't have closeness and intimacy. However, everything in life works in moderation. Think if you are eating delicious cake every day, or foie gras, or whatever it is your favorite meal. You eat it every day and it's incredibly delicious. What will happen in a month? You'll not be able to look at that cake. So the same happens with men. First of all, they don't need so much of closeness and intimacy. They also, their hormones are not fluctuating. They don't necessarily need that much of dopamine. So eventually, it's getting too much for him. And what creates a bigger problem in this dynamic is when he starts pulling away and takes space without realizing what is he doing. He's just simply following what feels good to him. You start to freak out. You start to think, oh my God, something's wrong with me, something's wrong with the relationship, something's wrong with him. You start dissecting him, trying to understand, is this his narcissistic mother, how he grew up, maybe something's going on at work. So then you start going into this down the spiral and becoming more anxious, becoming more insecure. And what do you do? What's the logical thing that you do? You start reaching out even more, basically taking a spoon and trying to shovel into his mouth that cake. What happens to him? He becomes more dismissive and more aggressive. So the remedy to break that dynamic is to take space. And not just to take space of, okay, I'm not going to text him. And then you sit and think about him every waking moment and checking his stories or his WhatsApp. No. When you take space, you actually remember that, I have other sources of happiness and I have other experiences that gives me dopamine. And you go back to your girlfriends, to your hobbies, and please to moving your body. As women, we need to move our body. It actually activates our endorphin and it helps us to regulate our mood and to stay and be more embodied and more energized. So that's it, what you need to do. And then when he reaches out to you, right, and he's like, oh, we haven't talked for 2 days, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's true. How have you been, right? You're not making a big deal out of it because you're so busy with your life. And then when you meet, there will be that feeling of like, oh, there's something different about her because you will bring new energy that you generated by having other experiences to enrich your field. So you come into relationship not hungry. Because feminine hunger and longing for entertainment, dopamine, and attention is extremely repelling to the man. Again, let's not take these words out of context. Of course, connection and closeness is needed, but again, We cannot make him the only resource of those things. So your hunger for attention can be fulfilled maybe in an acting classes, maybe in a public speaking classes, maybe, I don't know, in a modeling classes, whatever that is. Acknowledge the longing and find other resources. Do not put the weight of all your joy and happiness and all the experiences on man. He feels suffocated. And because he becomes the resource and the center of your life, and you don't have any other interest, there is nothing else that enriches your life, you become boring to him. And this is where the aggression and dismissive behaviors and avoidance may come, simply because it irritates his nervous system. Right? None of us want an adult who fully depends on us. It makes you feel uncomfortable because then it's like, I cannot live. And nobody signed up in a relationship to be anybody else's 24/7 entertainment and the only ray of sunshine. So, as a woman, please, please, please do not neglect your life outside of relationship, because your rich life outside of relationship will help you to maintain and sustain, which is the hardest thing ever, polarity in a relationship. Because that rich life will always be a reminder to him that you are not codependent. You are desired by other people. You have other interests, other circles, and in a way, it will be a challenge for him to always a little conquer you, a little impress you, a little do something special for you. And you having your rich life would genuinely feed your feminine energy and your feminine state. So you authentically and truly will feel delicious in your own skin, enjoying yourself, enjoying your life, and getting attention and appreciation from the outside world, which of course will be supporting your self esteem and self worth. And it will help you show up in a relationship also with more confidence, where you will not have problems to standing up for yourself and saying no without being passive aggressive or bitchy or complaining. Right? You'll be so self-regulated that saying no if you're not available to something would also feel very organic. So stop overfeeding your man with your presence. Figure out a healthy balance. It doesn't matter whether you just start dating or you've been living for 20 years together, doesn't matter. You need to find a formula where you spend time with him and you spend time away from him in your pleasure.